Hello, everyone. It's me, Warburg, and I know it's been a while since I made a video for any of y'all. Um, I had something very tragic happen to me a few months ago. My my fiance, back early November, she passed away, and I've been adjusting to everything else from there on. I'm still adjusting to this day. Uh, Gotten to a point where I've accepted it, but you know, I'm still thinking about the good memories me and her had together when, me and her went to Vegas together, and she met my family down in Louisiana, um, all that kind of stuff. But I would say she was actually the best woman I've ever been with my entire life. The whole 2 years we were together, we've had our petty fights and stuff like that, but we never cussed at each other. There was no like abuse in the home or anything like that. But um, yeah, but she had some other issues as well, which I don't really want to get into. I want to keep that part private if y'all don't mind. And I don't know really. I guess the only thing I could really title this video is, being done with relationships. And I'm not really trying to be too ranty on here. Um, but there's a lot of reasons I considered my fiance to be the best woman I've been with. Because the thing with me, going on my past relationships way before her, was whenever I got with someone, my life didn't wasn't my life anymore. My life became their life, their family, their friends, their everything, and I just didn't like that. I didn't like the restraint of freedom by being in a relationship. So I've always had this duality of like, you can't have one or the other. You can't have freedom and love and romance. You can't. You got to pick one kind of thing. But with my fiance, I could actually have both. And I'm not saying freedom as far as like, going out and, you know, uh, you know, cheating or doing anything like that. No. But we all had our own thing going. We had our own hobbies and we were totally okay with each other on that. We gave each other space, I mean, she had, her moments of being needy here and there, but I mean, she wasn't over the top about it. Um, I've been with women before that were way, way beyond needy. But with my fiance, it wasn't enough that it really bothered me, you know. Um, Actually, my first relationship was like that. Well, as far as the needy part. So, um, I first moved down to this city in San Antonio back in the summer of 2016. And I met my first relationship within like 6 months. So within that time frame, I was able to, get my apartment, get a full time job, and a car, and everything like that. I got the car very last, like around the 6 month mark, um, and around that time is when I met my first relationship. And she was nice at first, everything seemed cool. It was like, oh wow, I got someone I can go hang out with. Um, But then she just became way too clingy for me. She didn't like me playing video games. She didn't like me working out. She was trying to like micromanage every aspect of my life. And I was like, I just got here like 6 months ago, and even around that time was around the time I got discharged from the military, honorably, of course. I just let my time run out. So, forgive me, this is my first time doing, well, not my first time, but first time doing a live vlog like this. And I'm using different equipment and stuff like that. So, it's just going to take some time for me to be getting used to it. But you guys are actually, a big help to all my subscribers and viewers. You're, another arm of my social circle that I, do need. Because I've actually kind of noticed, the I guess the older I get, the more I need to socialize. I think when I was younger, I was more antisocial, so to speak. Um, so the first one, this was like late 2016, early 2017 time frame with my first ex. I guess the title I'm going to make this video is why I'm done with relationships because I got lucky with my fiance. I don't really count myself getting lucky like that again with somebody else. And with my luck, which is not very good, I feel like if I go into another relationship with somebody else, I'm going to deal with the same thing. I'm going to deal with, like, someone being very needy, someone being very possessive, somebody, or, my second one I was with, she was don't want to cuss, but she was a bitch. She was abusive. She cheated and everything like that. And I knew it was going on, but I mean, I didn't know the details while, in the middle of it. But I mean, I found out it later, I found, something, and I was like, I know there's a lot more going on, but what I see right here is, this is evidence enough. So that relationship ended. The one after that, nothing too dramatic, but she was just a criminal. And the crazy thing is, the out of them three, the criminal was the nice one. Interesting. What a world we live in. But I don't claim to be no saint either. But I mean, nobody's perfect. I mean, I'm human like everybody else. Um, Another reason I don't really have any interest in dating is because, it's kind of like, it's a lot harder than it was, like, versus 10 years ago. Like, you know, especially with these dating apps. I mean, um, 10 years ago, with these apps and everything like that, like Tinder or OkCupid or Plenty of Fish, you at least had a chance to meet somebody. I mean, I don't really just go there to, date or do anything like that, but sometimes I do and, enjoy somebody else's presence. I do like to socialize with someone, maybe see if we can find some common interests or, hell, I mean, I like it figuratively speaking, even if one of my friends decided to come over here and just, need a breather, they don't have to engage with me at all. I mean, their presence would be enough for me. Um, I know I'm a little bit nervous, so bear with me, guys. I do still have social anxiety, and I thought at this point in my life I'd be able to, actually, at this point in my life, I have gotten to control it a lot better, but I still get these hiccups here and there. It's just, um, yeah, with these apps now, even if I do go on these profiles, and I would say, I'm an average looking man, so I'd give myself a 5 out of 10, just to be, humble. I don't put myself above anybody, but I'd say I'm an average looking guy. So I would think that maybe I can find someone within my reach, but it's not really like that anymore. A lot of these women, they want a guy who has got like who makes 100K a year, which good luck because there's only very few men who make that kind of money. So like you got average middle class women that are on these dating sites and they're shooting way above their limit. I mean, they're not being cordial, and that kind of goes back to my first relationship that I was with. You know, I was maybe 25, going on 26 at the time, and she was in her early 30s. And I dated older women at that time because I thought maybe they wouldn't play the same games as like the younger girls do. I felt like the younger women were more needy and more attention seeking and stuff like that, or played games more often. But you know, I kind of learned at at that point in my life that age don't necessarily mean maturity, and I've found that out the hard way. Um, One incident I had with my first ex was um, she had a plan to go out to this bar, which I'm not a big bar person. I don't really like bars and clubs. You know, um, especially back then, I was a lot more antisocial. And not only that, I mean, drinks at bars, shoot, they cost so much money. Well, there was one incident where, I spent my money on my rent, my bills, and I think I bought some things on my first vehicle. So I was left with like $100 left in my name. Now, bear in mind, this is probably about 6 7 months of me moving to a new city. Like when I moved over here, I had nothing. I literally jumped on a train with just my backpack and my suitcase and whatever money I had in my pocket, and just left from my hometown and came down to San Antonio, and simply just to go start a new life. Um, so I was starting from the ground up, um, buying clothes, buying furniture, buying necessities, kitchen supplies, etc., etc. That money adds up pretty quickly. But my first ex pretty much wanted me to have all the bags on the table by the minute I walked in the door. There was no, hey, he just moved over here not too long ago. She knew my situation, but, she's still insistent on me having money. So she calls me up one day and I tell her, hey, I don't really want to go to the bar this weekend because I only have $100 left in my name. I don't want to spend it just in case I need it for later because I don't get paid until a week or 2 weeks later. Um, Instead of her, which I was hoping she would just be, oh, okay, that's fine. We can stay at home and watch a movie, or maybe get a pizza or something like that. That's the kind of answer I was hoping for. But she started, questioning me like, when did you start making less money? And the first thing I wanted to say was, well, none of your business. And she said, like, well, because it was the winter time, I was working for, at the particular time, I was working for a pest control company, but this is the first pest control company I worked for. So I didn't fully know that the, business would have slowed down during the winter time because it was my first year there. So I didn't know that initially coming in. So work starts slowing down in the wintertime, and this is around the time I met her. And she was like, well, why didn't you save up any money before the winter happened? And I'm like, are you freaking serious? And she was like, she had a friend in the car with her. So I kind of like got pissed. So I kind of popped off at her and actually said, like, stop pressing me and shit. And she just goes like, okay, I'm going to let you go. And then she hangs up the phone. But eventually I got to the point where I started getting like physically sick because I didn't want to be near her because I already knew it was going to be some needy bullshit. I mean, even one day when I went over to her place and I went to go, play on, I think I was playing Daggerfall at that point. So I go over to the table, maybe about 5 feet to my left. There's a treadmill, like one of these like step treadmills. The whole time I visited her, she never once got on that treadmill at all when I was there. As soon as I get in the computer, she decides to. Now, bear in mind, actually, the treadmill is actually closer to the table than that. So she literally, like, when she gets on the treadmill, like, her butt would pretty much be, like, near where my hand is right here. In attempt to distract me from playing the game. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Sorry for cussing. But I'm like, for real, are you freaking kidding me? Like seriously. So after a couple months, I broke that off, and I was like, I hope to God I never get with anyone like that again. But that's another reason I stay single too, because my luck is, because I've also had other women I've been involved with that were that needy, um, that wanted me glued to the hip. Different levels, of course. My fiance didn't really exhibit a high level. It was like not really a level that would really concern me or really bother me. So, going back to the whole dating apps thing, I mean, you know, on a good week, I may get like two, maybe three matches, say if I go on like Tinder or something like that. And even if I message these girls, they don't respond back. And I'd say something normal like, "Hey, how you doing?" You would think that, hey, they match with you, they want to get to know you, they like you, or something along those lines. But a lot of times, these women match with guys for an ego boost. They like seeing the DMs and their messages. They like to see, oh, I got like all these options, all these options, all these options, all these options. Um, some of the women would say they want men who have a whole lot of money, and I'm like, if you're going to get in a relationship based off of money, and there's a lot of women who are doing that anyway, you know, my thing is, why not just let sex work be legal? Because if they're doing it in a different way. They're doing it indirectly. They're doing it under the vibes like, hey, you get to be in a relationship with me if you have this kind of money. Um, they're not being, people don't want to be in relationships for each other. I mean, uh, a lot of people want everybody, basically to have everything X, Y, and Z marked off before they get with someone. Just like my first ex, she wanted me to have, everything together, you know, from the day I get over here. And I'm like, it doesn't work that way. So, and my fiance was very frugal. She wasn't, a big spender. She didn't really care about money too much. She enjoyed the simple things like I did, um, like pizza. She enjoyed, having her Diet Coke. She um, would normally go by the patio and, enjoy one of her, Pall Mall cigarettes because she smoked. She'd come back. She'd watch maybe like Grey's Anatomy or like, you know, maybe some other TV show. We watched Breaking Bad together for a little bit, but because I got ahead in the season, she decided not to watch it anymore. But you know, I don't really know how I'm going to take this channel. You know, might do some reaction videos to, maybe Shani and Rev again. Maybe a different locale. I mean, Andy Ditch is another one I've been looking at. Maybe watch some, react to some cop cam videos of some, people doing crazy stuff. Um, but this YouTube thing, it is a form of therapy. It's a way for me to express myself, and those of y'all who stay during the duration of this video, if you got any pointers or any um, comments or anything like that, I'd like to hear it. And if you like the video, then don't mind subscribing. I welcome everybody. Um, but having said that, I think I'll go ahead and call it a night because we're almost at 20 minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and get ready. I gotta go to work tomorrow, so I'll see y'all later.